All right, guys, it is your boy Andrew with Jedi Junk Removal. We are going to talk about building $1 million junk removal business. Let's just dive in. No fluff. I'm going to talk a lot about what I feel like I've been noticing in the industry. And remember, guys, I am only 3 weeks away from being 2 years old in this business. I haven't even hit my 2-year mark, but I do have a lot of experience. I'm very involved in social media. I've been watching everything that's going on. I'm a very big ad spender, spent over $400,000 in under 2 years. And I want to talk about the truth about building $1 million junk removal business. You can, absolutely you can. And I want to talk about the word million and what it actually means. I see lots of people, including me, saying, build $1 million in gross sales, right? We're going to get into it, but it doesn't mean $1 million junk removal business. You did $1 million gross, but let's just dive in, guys. And I'm really excited. I took a lot of time to put this presentation together. Ignore my horrible design skills. I am not a designer. I hope you guys love my artwork. I'm just going to kind of go over each thing. We're going to talk about why junk removal. It's one of those industries that when I was trying to figure out how to make money, it seemed like the easiest, quickest way to make money. There was no special skills needed. You could literally just get a truck to start. Like, you don't need to do anything crazy. You don't have to get a dump trailer. You don't have to get a dump truck. And if you're willing to go pick up trash, according to all the YouTube videos that I saw, you can make $500 a day, $1,000 a day. And this is 2 years ago when I was looking on YouTube and people were talking about how much money you can make in junk removal. And I would see $1,000 a day, be financially free. And this was before all the gurus came out, including me. There was all the big YouTubers prior to me talking about it, including my friend who told me about it before I found it on YouTube. And it still is a great industry, guys. We're going to talk a lot about the marketing and the saturation, all that stuff, and what I think and blah, blah, blah. But this is a great industry. If you're stuck and you need to figure out how to make some extra money, you can grow this into a very profitable business. You can do very well for yourself. I'm doing very well for myself. It takes a lot of work outside of the labor part, the marketing part, the hiring part. Everything is hard. But junk removal is a great path if you are looking for an unskilled trade. I'm a programmer. I didn't want to program, but I didn't want to go learn a new skill, but I needed money immediately. This is why unskilled laboring businesses kind of seem hot now, like cleaning, window washing, pressure washing, roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, which is part of roof cleaning, junk removal, moving companies. All these unskilled trades, guys, are something you could dive into and start a blue collar business. If you have a business mind, your blue collar business, you can actually grow it, or you might be stuck being the person on the truck or doing the labor for the rest of your life. It just really depends on your mind. So it has potential, a predictable path. I could have gotten into moving, house cleaning, which I'm going to bring you guys up to date on house cleaning, but it is a very easy-ish, predictable path to make money. That is why junk removal or any of the other unskilled trade laborers starting a blue collar business is a viable path to take to make money. And I was in that position. So we're going to talk about it today a lot here. We're going to cover a lot. Okay, guys, we're going to talk about, is it saturated? What's going on with supply and demand? My thoughts on it, if you should do it. And something I want to talk to you guys about real quick is, the saturation. I pay attention to the Facebook groups, guys, and you can see this was just posted in March. And this is just one Facebook group and me just typing in saturation. There's countless people making fun of YouTubers. This is from 2 years ago. Does it seem like junk hauling is becoming saturated, right? This is 2 years ago when I was getting into it, 2021. And then we have this guy, which is just a few months ago, saying, how is everyone handling the overcoming the saturated market as newcomers? The sky is falling, the sky is falling. I thought that was a cute thing to put. And then this is to all these YouTubers and guys coming in the junk world. You guys keep making these videos like junk removal is so easy and anyone can do it. Just buy a truck and some tools. Bam, make $1 million a year. Now, hey, I haven't seen anybody talk about $1 million in a YouTube video until me. There was not a single person except Lee Godbold who did a very cool presentation that inspired me on how to do $1 million junk removal business. Or Kyle. But Kyle, I don't think he dropped a YouTube video or was talking. Maybe he was on TikTok before me, but I never said it was easy. And I also didn't say you make $1 million a year. I very specifically, if you watch my videos, say your profits are shit once you get off the truck. Not shit, but you know what I mean? A normal business with normal expenses. So is it a fad now? Is it oversaturated? Fuck yeah. And we're going to talk about that. And is it bad? Yeah, it is. Can you overcome this saturation and all these YouTubers like me and all these TikTokers like Kyle? And I'm friends with Kyle, I'm friends with everybody. We're going to talk about saturation very soon. But one thing I want to mention, guys, is anyone can build a $200,000 profit business. A $200,000 gross junk removal business. 200,000 divided by 12 months is 16,000. We'll just put 16,666 divided by 30 days. And yes, you're going to run your truck 30 days a month, Sundays too, because you're going to eventually get weekend employees, okay, who work Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays or something. You work Monday through Thursday. But if you want to do 20 days, fine. You got to make an average of $833 a day. Average job size across the map, according to Lee Godbold, who runs Junk Removal Authority, who knows all the statistics, he says the national average is 350, and he said that 2 years ago. I'm averaging 450 to 550. I'd say right around 500 is my average job size, guys. So, okay, you got to do 1.8 jobs a day. We're not going to get too into the numbers. We're going to just kind of high level talk over everything. But anybody can build a $200,000 a year junk removal business if you put in the work. Now, this presentation is for people who want to scale and hit 1 million gross. So we're really going to deep dive into where I think the market is going, what I think is going on with junk removal, and, if the sky is falling. Let's get started. Who am I? My name's Andrew. Hello. Hi. Good boy. Why me? Why should you listen to Andrew? Why should you listen to me out of all the YouTubers saying $1 million junk removal business? So my background is tech. I've been a software engineer since I was 10 years old. I don't want to spend too much time here, but my first business was in 5th grade. I was a little kid and I had a little pricing sheet and I sold stuff to school that my mom would give me, whether it was candy, snacks, I'd make mazes, and I would start selling stuff in school. I built a skateboarding company in 9th grade all the way through high school. I got my own skateboards printed. We're talking in 2002, right? There was no internet online where you can order skateboards or order t-shirts or stickers. So I did that. My first tech success was building the MySpace profile editor, and I made about $2.5 million at age 17 to 18 and a half, almost 19 years old, $2.5 million. I managed a company, me and my other founder. We raised $1.8 million. We had Summer Rae. We pitched to venture capitalists. We were on TV. Jessica Alba was our mentor. I have done multi-million, and that company ran for about 2-3 years, and eventually the churn was just too high and it didn't sustain. So the product ended up not being good. But I have done multiple businesses. I've sold a few. I've launched plenty that have failed, and I have lots that are successful. And I'm going to post a YouTube video so you can see my previous success, that I'm not just some guy just fucking pulling shit out of my ass. You guys can actually see what I've done in the past. But guys, I have a serious background in building companies, failing massively, hiring and firing, programming, marketing, raising money, yada, 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 yada. And I also scaled my junk removal business using Google Ads to 1 million in gross sales within 14 months. I put 14 months just to be safe, but it was pretty fast. And I don't think anybody else that I've seen in the Facebook groups or on YouTube, I'm sure there's people who have absolutely done it who have tons of money, but I started with $4,000. And I'm going to pull up my bank statements because I want to know the exact dollar amount I had in my personal account, but I closed that account, so I got to order the statements. But anyways, I'm on my second year in business. This year, we are currently at $700-something thousand on our way to hit 1.1, 1.2. 730 will probably average September, October, November, December. 730 we'll probably, let's call it 400 hopefully. So we should hit 1.1, but we'll definitely hit over 1 million again for the second year. 2 years in a row, I have completely automated my business. I am off the trucks. Everything is systematized, automated, and it is a sellable asset now. And that's something we're going to talk about as well in future videos about making a sellable asset. Did all this with no credit, literally bad credit, still have bad credit. I hired somebody for $5,000 and my credit's still garbage. So if you know somebody who can fix my credit, let me know. Another thing is, guys, I'm in this for the long run. I am building a product for junk removal business owners and eventually all home services people, plumbers, electricians, house cleaners, whatever. But we're going to focus on junk removal first. I'm building Dispatch, and that will be available Q1 of next year for beta testing. And I'm really excited to show you guys that. But I am in this business for you guys. I have a long-term plan. This is a stepping stone, as I say in all my YouTube videos. This is providing for my family, and it's wonderful and it's amazing. But it is a stepping stone to get back to software. So I am here to reveal all the secrets so you guys can succeed, because I have nothing to hide. I don't care if you guys launch in LA and do better than me. I'm here to help you guys so that I can pitch you my software later. Dispatch. So before we get into this, I don't know if you're already in junk removal and you just want to watch this presentation because you want to make $1 million. But if you are thinking about starting a junk removal business, there is something you need to know. Unless you got a bunch of money to invest and you're going to buy a pre-existing junk removal business, or you have enough money to get trucks and employees, you're going to get dirty. You're going to be sweaty. And I come from a non-labor background. I barely used to even work out too much. I could not even run 2 miles. So my agility, not good. So this was a very hard job for me. It was very hard. Here's my first dirt job I fucked up. I had a shovel. I thought I could use the tarp and pull the tarp off with the big ass machines at the landfill, yank the dirt off, and it actually just ripped the tarp, and it was horrible. And I had to shovel all the dirt out. Oh my God. Out of this yellow box truck. That was a rough day right there. And you guys, are you able to put your ego aside? Because for me personally, coming from a tech background, this was humiliating. And I don't mean to say that in a disrespectful way to you guys, but my mind was not there. I was in a I'm better than you mentality type thing. I just raised $1.8 million. I was working with famous Summer Rae, 25 million followers. She was my partner. We were on the path to building a multi-million-dollar fitness app, and it crashed and burned. And then that's where I was like rock bottom after leaving Evolve. I was excited for Gypsy. That was a travel app. Gypsy didn't work out. COVID hit, lost Gypsy, and then just lived off COVID rent-free money, depressed. Like, what the fuck do? I lost the only passion that I wanted to launch, Gypsy, lost my business partner. I was literally concerned if I could succeed in tech. And this is where I did discover junk removal, because I did have to make money eventually when the COVID free program, the free rent ended. I have to thank this business for letting me put my humility and ego to the side and becoming more humble, I guess you could say, because it wasn't until I actually worked in blue collar. Granted, I was starting a business and trying to build it into something. So point, guys, is you might not be in the same position that I was, but this was a hard thing for me to swallow. Make sure you're willing to put your ego aside. And also, getting to $1 million junk removal business, you're going to need cash credit or our investor. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And by the way, that's if you want to do it fast like I did. You can do it within 5-6 years. Absolutely. You could start where I was with $4,000 and really crank Google ads and get lucky. Or I don't want to say it was lucky. I just crushed Google ads and closed phone sales really good and just kept raking it in. And I just kept doing very well with Google ads. There's the possibility that you blow through your budget and you're fucked. That didn't happen to me. That's why I say you want some cash and you want to be a little bit safer. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, guys. Now here, let's get to the gurus. So the game has changed. We don't need to beat around the bush anymore, okay? The game has changed. Gurus have entered the scene. That includes me, and I am friends with all these people. Well, not all of them. I don't know Justin Waltz that well. I just see him in the Facebook groups a lot. So there's like 2 worlds, right? You got YouTube world and you got Facebook group world. Sonoma Strong runs one of the biggest Facebook groups, and the Facebook groups are very valuable. You can post a question and get feedback, but at the end of the day, you don't want to sit in there all day. You want to go work on your business. But I keep an eye on it because I'm in the social media world. But once you work on the truck for 2 weeks, you don't need Facebook groups. You don't need to go ask, what should I price this at? Anyways, we got 2 worlds. YouTube world, which is me, or social media. Let's call it social media world, because Kyle Landwehr, he was probably one of the first ones to kind of really hit the scene and really start pushing out content and, you could say, saturating the market. But was Kyle the first one? No. If you add up the biggest YouTubers, Ricardo, Steezy, Steve Conroy, Lugaway, Sonoma Strong, if you add them up, you get 70,000 people that they are just saying how much money you can make in junk removal. This has been a 2-year thing that these people have been pushing content. And then you have other gurus who finally hit the scene with the whole $1 million talk. For example, me, Kyle, use the word million. I don't think anybody else was using the word million until we came along and really, I mean, I'm very small. I'm a small guy. I've got 3,500 subscribers. Kyle collectively has 150,000 between his TikTok and his Instagram. Now, I am not bashing gurus. I want to mention that really quick. I'm bringing to light the reality of what's going on. So YouTubers were here long before me pushing this content. YouTubers like me and Kyle, he's a social media, not YouTuber, but are now pushing like, hey, you can do this too. Look how much money I've made. We've made $1 million, blah, blah, blah. $1 million gross. I'm buddies with everybody, but I don't talk talk to these people. Like, I'm just making everybody aware. So for the last 2 years, these YouTubers before me were pushing, and then Kyle blows up, right? 150,000 people. He starts selling the dream, and he says he's launched 300 companies nationwide. I come along, I start pushing. I don't know how many people I've helped start their business, but not nearly as much as Kyle yet. But all of us collectively have been pushing. So yes, there is going to be saturation. Oh, and then Facebook groups. If you add up all the Facebook groups, guys, there's 60,000 members across all the Facebook groups. Junk removal, it's big, right? It's getting bigger. I'm not saying saturation is bad, but this isn't the same as when people compare it to a restaurants or gas stations or a cleaning company, because everybody in the world uses those multiple times a day, right? Maybe not cleaning, but they're reoccurring constantly. You got to eat food 3, 4, 5 times a day, the average American. Yes, you can argue in the comments, you got commercial clients and blah, blah, blah. But if you take the facts and the statistics and the data, 95 of your customers are going to be once a year, one-off, once every 2 years. You have commercial contracts and property managers. That's what you want to do. That's great. That's awesome. Good for you. Now, what does this mean with this saturation? The game has changed. There is a lot more people. I'm going to tell you what my theory is, and I think we'll deep dive into it later. But it's going to make more people use Google Ads, which does what? It drives up the cost per click. It's a bidding war, right? That's just how it works. Now, if you drive up the cost per click and everybody's bidding, what does that do? Drives up the cost per phone call. It gets more expensive, which is what's going to happen. The people who try to get into Google Ads will be priced out, and it will eventually level out again. So how long will this boom last, this saturation? I don't know. Is it more expensive now? Yes, it's very expensive. Meaning you need money to play with the big boys. Can you do well? Yeah, but this is $1 million presentation. I'm talking about getting you to $1 million in gross sales. I spend in LA, the markets are different, but I'm spending 15 on a very, very slow month to 30,000 on ads. It is getting better over time because I get more repeats, more referrals, the longer in business, yada, yada, yada. But guys, the game has changed, and that's the truth. And I'm not talking shit on anybody. You know, everybody's coming out with courses. I came out with a course. Kyle has a course. Justin Waltz has a course. Ricardo has a course. Sonoma Strong has coaching. I don't know if it's a course or not. Then you have these YouTubers collectively with 70,000 subscribers, and I didn't even add all the YouTubers up. And it's another thing is like, why is it every junk removal person's on YouTube filming themselves doing junk removal? I can't find in the cleaning industry, the roof cleaning, the power washing, I can't find one other unskilled trade where they're filming themselves doing their cleaning, their roof cleaning. Everybody's trying to be a vlogger with junk removal. It's the only one I could find. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's an interesting thing. And I'm trying to make everybody aware, okay? So if we're going to dominate this industry, guys, you need to be aware of what's going on and plan your attack. Now, things to understand, guys. A lot of stuff that I saw, like a lot of people talking about how to start this junk removal business, Lee Godbold presentations, all the advice is, you know, what's going to separate you is your customer service. You got to have your uniforms. You got to have your branded trucks. You got to be insured. You got to be licensed. You got to have permits. Bro, that is no longer advice. That is the bare minimum. Everybody in my area is a YouTuber, and they advertise licensed, insured, customer service, branded trucks. We're all doing the same thing because we're all following the same set of rules that was started from Lee Godbold, Junk Removal Authority, helping people build their businesses. And if you go look at his original PowerPoint presentation, he tells you uniformed, branded trucks, licensed, insured, great customer service. And I'm not pointing fingers at Lee Godbold or JRA, Junk Removal Authority. I am just bringing the facts, guys, of what I've noticed over the last 2 years of me being in the business and me pitching you on how to hit $1 million. I got to be real with you guys. That is the bare minimum. Now, and before we jump into how to hit $1 million, I'm assuming you have your image down. Like, you need to have what we just said, customer service, uniform, all that stuff. But you also have to have a website with booking online. You have to have across all social media platforms. You have to have your Google Maps. You have to have reviews. You have to have all of that stuff. I'm assuming you're top shelf already. All right, don't do this presentation until you hit all of this. Go watch the video, one of my previous 2.5-hour videos. I mean, you should be putting out yard signs. You should be doing door hangers. You should be having a dope website. You should have a book online. You should have your field service management software. You should already have reviews. You should be top G status before you get into this whole $1 million thing and start spending a fuckload of money on ads, because this is bare minimum to hit $1 million gross in sales. And that should be obvious, guys. This is not to discourage you about the saturation or the gurus hitting the market. This is to prepare you, okay? And another thing, like I said in the beginning, we're going to talk about that $1 million junk removal business. Kyle doesn't say it. Ricardo says 25,000. No. So welcome to the junk removal millionaire. Okay, whatever. He uses the word millionaire too. I use the word millionaire. Let's talk about millionaire, guys. $1 million in sales does not mean a millionaire, number one. It's just a fun number, okay? All my videos that say million, I immediately follow it by saying I didn't make $1 million. I did $1 million gross. You could have profited 150, you could have profited 250, you could have profited 100. It just depends on your operations, right? I profited 250. This year, I have an ops manager, I'm going to profit less. That's just the name of the game. Margins go down. It doesn't even mean you could sell your business for $1 million. You can't. If you do $1 million gross, you can't sell your business for $1 million. Not even if you're in business successfully for 5 years. $1 million gross does not justify $1 million sale. I'll do a video on buying and selling businesses in the future. Another thing to realize, guys, is your margins, if you're on the truck still, let's say you have 2-3 trucks and your market's probably a lot different than LA. One truck can pull 500 to 600,000 gross. One truck can. So second truck, I'm already at $1 million. You might be in a smaller market where you need 3 or 4 trucks. But if you're on one of those trucks and you're still doing phones, you could probably have margins of 30%. If you're off the truck and you're off the phone, your margins then go to 15 to 25%, depending on how you run your operation. So keep that in mind. You can do $250,000 and you're on the truck and the phones and you're taking probably, who knows, maybe 50%. Maybe you're still doing 6 figures profit. I have to hit $1 million for me to make 200, 300K. So just think about owner operator versus going to business owner. Margins are a lot different as soon as you start an actual operator running a company as CEO. And I don't like the word CEO. Chief Executive Officer, in my mind, means you're running, it doesn't have to be a public company. It can be a private company, but there's no guideline. I'm completely wrong. But in my mind, you're running a company where 30 W-2 employees completely depend on you. That's when I think the CEO hat comes on. So let's go into the competition now. So we talked about the saturation, guys. It's time to be real. There's a lot of people talking about saturation and competition and blah, 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 blah. Now, is what I'm doing bringing more competition? Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Should we fear competition? Maybe a little. Don't let it stop you, but keep an eye on things because things are changing. Prices are changing. To the people who get upset about the competition in the YouTubers and the Facebook groups, they complain about us and say they're ruining the industry. And then these guys, there are some people who come to the defense of the YouTubers saying, there's competition in everything. There's competition in restaurants. There's a restaurant every block. There's a gas station every block. Yeah, okay. Those are needs that customers need every minute, every second. That customer can eat 5 times a day. You don't need junk removal every day. You need it once or twice a year. There's a complete difference. Cleaning, you have to clean your fucking house every day. You can't compare the two. Is there a lot of people you can serve? Yeah, but they need it once a year. We're not talking about commercial contracts and evictions and foreclosures and all that stuff. Yes, those happen more often, but the customers, the residential customers that most of us get is a one-off thing. So you have to constantly get new customers, which if you live in a population of 100,000, all 100,000 people is only going to need it within 1 year. And not everybody knows about junk removal. So you can't compare the two. Okay, guys? But don't let that discourage you. I just want you to know that you guys, we can't compare the two. And here's the thing, guys. As you stay in business longer, repeats and referrals naturally just get better and better and provide customer service, good customer service. But it's a natural compounding thing, like compounding interest. You're just going to get more repeats and referrals the longer you stay in business. So your ad spend, you can either gradually put the ad spend down because your repeats and referrals are getting better, or you can just keep the ad spend just as much and you're just getting more volume because of the repeats and referrals. Now 10% of my jobs are repeats and referrals, which to me, I want it way higher, but for somebody who's never done any foundational work, like Sonoma Strong, who's been in business for 3 to 5 years, and they put in feet on the street and busted their ass off and put in the work to deserve all the organic leads that they have. They don't pay for ads. I paid for ads since day one, but now I'm getting repeats and referrals all the time. My Google Maps, I'm getting leads from my Google Maps all the time because of the organic SEO and just so many reviews. And I need you to also to realize junk removal, it's kind of a luxury service if you think about it. It's not a necessity. It is, but it isn't, if you know what I mean. YouTubers like me are in fact making it harder. Let's just not beat around the bush. I'm telling people what to do. They're putting out more yard signs in the same city. I'm already competing with some guys in LA, and I know these guys. So that's competition right there. Like literally 1-to-1 yard sign. So as a customer's driving by, who's he going to choose? And remember, this isn't something like that you need constantly. It's a once a year thing. So if he gains that customer from that stoplight, who knows, guys? So YouTubers like me are in fact making this more competitive. And especially if they listen to me and go do Google ads, they're going to drive up the prices, but it's a game of musical chairs. Somebody's going to get left out because they can't compete with the price. Their prices aren't high enough to deal with the CAC, customer acquisition cost, the cost to get a customer in front of you with paid ads. You know, it costs money. So if it costs you $120 to get in front of a customer, on average, not including anything else, just your ad spend, you got to be charging the right prices. So as you can see here, guys, I just typed in junk removal, and every time I refresh the map, different pins would show up in my area of LA. This list was infinitely long of junk removal companies. Here's my ad spend in the last 30 days. I spent 30 grand to probably pull in, I don't know, I probably pulled in 100 something. I have to check. And then right here, my top of page rate. So I'm here competing with 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and then you have your impression share down here. So you can see it's me and Got Junk. I don't know why he's behind me. I'm not spending as much as him. Okay, so now that we're aware of everything, guys, let's talk about how can you build $1 million junk removal business. You're going to need capital or cash, whatever. You're going to need credit. You can also find investors, aka raise real money from investors or friends and family, but that's a whole nother story if you want to do friends and family. Without one of those three guys, your road to 1 million in gross sales is just going to be slower. It's possible you do what I did if you're in the market like me and you just crush Google ads and you close every call and you grind. You can absolutely do what I did, but depending on your market, it's just going to be a slower path. I hit it within the first 14 months. It still blows my mind to this day. It's pretty crazy. And speaking of my Google ads, real quick, we're going to pull up the browser because there are a lot of haters. So we are going to refresh, okay? I'm going to type in as.google.com. We're going to hit the sign in button. We're going to hit Jedi Junk Removal New. And we're going to go to good old all time. I'm going to show you my ad spend, guys. Boom. $411,000 in the last almost 2 years. You can see down here, on average, I have been competing. Got Junk is behind me a little bit, or above me, on top of page rate. If we do impression shares over there, but I'm going to put it up here. My impression share is above them, which is crazy, but I think impression share technically means the impressions you're eligible for, how often do you show up? So not that I'm 63% above 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It means that I showed up 63 times out of the 100 that I could have gotten, meaning I wasn't spending enough. I'm pretty sure that was what impression share means. Haven't really dove into that statistic because I just don't care. Let's do cost per click. I want to see my conversion rate. Look at that. So my average conversion rate on my landing page, the people who call me and submit a form, 31%, 7,400 conversions, average cost of conversion, $55.47. So that cost me $55 for that one phone call. But it doesn't mean I landed it. I closed 40 to 45% of my phone calls, which means my customer acquisition cost, my CAC, is technically $1,820. We'll do the math a little bit later. That is that. Now we're going to go to Clover. We're going to log in. I want you guys to see me log into my Clover. And remember, this doesn't include a $109,000 wire transfer from the big job that I got. This is just the credit card machine that my guys rack up credit cards. We're going to go to reporting. We're going to go sales report. And we are going to go this year. $621,000. 621 plus 109 is 730,000. And then if we go last year, there's also a few checks in here that aren't logged. So I actually made more than this. I'm not counting the amount collected because that's tips. So we're doing the net sales, 730 plus 901 plus a $109,000 job plus a $30,000 check, which was my first demolition job. I have done 1.7 million in gross sales under 2 years, guys. Pretty cool to me. However, like I said, my profits were about 200 grand a year, 200, 250. I had to buy the trucks in cash, pay off some debts the first year. So you get the drift. But guys, I don't know another single YouTuber who's logged into their Google Ads account and done that, and logged into their credit card machine and done that. I'm also going to be showing my tax returns in a couple months. Once they're done and filed and some other stuff is done that I'm really excited to share with you guys. But anyways, back to this, guys. So how do we build $1 million junk removal business? We've talked a lot of doubt. I've scared a lot of you probably and showed you the difficulties and whatnot. So let's talk about the realities of what you're going to do, right? We talked about you're going to need some money. You're going to need some capital, some credit, or some investors, or you're going to do slow growth. Let's get into the how. What now? So first thing, guys, is we got to take location serious. You need a decent sized population. I don't know the exact amount of people you need to max out your Google ads and max out your business in order to get that truck. You need a truck running full time, 7 days a week if you can. I have a dump open on Sunday, but if it's not open, you can still get business on Sunday. People want to get rid of stuff on Sundays. So fill up all your trucks. If you have 2 trailers, I fill up my trailers and then dump on Monday. Fill up if you can. You need it running 30 days a month so that you can max out the potential that that one location can receive. I don't know the market, but I'll tell you right here in LA, that truck can make on a bad month, 30 grand. That's a bad month. Obviously, you guys are going to get started. It's going to be a lot slower, but with ads running full time, our compounding interest of repeats and referrals and Google Maps and SEO, the natural buildup, right? We max out one truck, $500,000, $600,000 a year on average. We'll never make less than $400,000 from one truck at $450,000 out here in LA. You might be in Wyoming. You need to figure out what the max is you can make per day with the proper pricing and how much per month, how much per year. That truck might be a $300,000, $400,000 a year truck. Figure out your market. Out here in LA, it's 500 grand. So pricing is different out here. Cost of living is different. Everything's different. But I'd say in lower states that aren't as expensive as LA, you're probably looking at a $300,000, $400,000 truck. So find a good population. If you're not, expand your radius. And then here's the bad news, is if you're in a small area and you want to make a ton of money from junk removal, you're going to have to launch another location. Max that one out. You have to launch another location as soon as possible, because if you're in a population of 100 grand, probably going to be hard without putting in the 3 years of foundational work of repeats, referrals, commercial contracts, networking, just building up your foundation. You can't just click a button with ads and then boom, right? You just can't click that button unless you're in a place like LA or something with big population where you can crank up ad spend and get customers just flooding. So point is, population matters. If you're in a smaller population, pimp that truck out. You're going to have to launch a second location, which means capital and credit, okay? Capital and credit, because you can't finance these dump trucks. They're hard. You can't keep scaling and growing. So if your truck is maxed out at $300,000 a year, you need to get another truck and go to another city, the next biggest city, then the next biggest city, unless that city's big enough to do 2 trucks. And if I were to launch another location right now with good credit, I'd go finance a new dump truck. I'm not buying used trucks anymore. They cost me 20 grand in repairs in the last year in cash, and I would have financed them brand new if I could have. But commercial trucks are hard to get with shitty credit. So if I was just launching another location with good credit, I'd probably put 10 grand down on a new truck and then 20K to start that new location. That's just what I would personally do now to make sure that it can run full time, 7 days a week with 4 or 6 employees to make sure it's just cranking right away, lead flow. That's how I'd get another truck running. But location matters, guys. Location absolutely matters. And then, of course, supply and demand. Up here in Ventura County, my first location, 800 and 900,000 population. Google ads, you'll hit your search volume, right? Some of you might have the problem of spending money and it's not converting, right? Shitty ad copy, shitty landing page, you're shitty on the phone, shitty something, shitty walk. But if you're doing good and you have your budget set to $200-$300 a day and it's not hitting it, well, you've hit your search volume. You'll see a nice big limited by budget if there's more available ad spend. For example, in Los Angeles, I'm spending $700 a day and this is limited by budget. So guys, supply and demand is absolutely important when it comes to running ads and scaling. If you're trying to scale fast and you don't have the foundation, the only way to scale is with what? Ads. And we're not going to talk about Yelp and Facebook right now, but those are 2 other opportunities. Absolutely. We're just talking about Google right now. Google is king. Yes, there's way more volume can also bring in with Yelp and Facebook, but that's a whole different art form itself. Location, guys. So just remember that. Be prepared to launch another location. I moved to LA. I left Ventura County. I loved my area, Thousand Oaks, Calabasas area, but I was right here in Thousand Oaks and I loved it. Now I'm in LA. LA is quite the place. So Google ads. So as you can see, this report, I took this screenshot. This is the last 30 days from July 16th to August 14th. This is Google local services. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So my average cost of conversion over the last 30 days was $53. You need to make sure when you're running Google ads that your conversion rate is above 20%. You can see mine has far exceeded that. 20% is usually called industry standard when it comes to home services that you want to convert. If you're not converting at 20%, you're probably going to have a hard time with your ad spend. You need to get your average job size. And, you know, maybe lower conversion can work for you. But if we know the industry standard is about 20-25%, shoot for 20-25%. I'm at 35%. ClickSkeek does amazing. They do great for me. I'm converting incredibly well. So you need to figure your CAC out. There's all kinds of CACs, customer acquisition cost. You can just take all of your ad spend across the board and see what your CAC is. But honestly, I just focus on my Google ad spend because that's where I spend my money. But if you're spending money on Facebook and Yelp, you need to know your CAC for each of those. I would not average your CAC out until you have them dialed in all three sources. Then you could average your customer acquisition cost out. But I would break them down. If you're spending $1,000 on Yelp, track how many customers you're getting. So how I'm doing my CAC right now is I'm taking my cost per conversion divided by my close rate. That's my phone closing rate that I get in person. But another way to do it is just how much did you spend on Google and then how many customers did it bring you? You could only know that if you're tracking the customers with, like, the best way to do this, guys, is call reel, because then you'll know where it came from. And then you just take, oh, I brought $100,000 divided by X amount of customers. And I will actually do this more proper one later. I just haven't yet. I close 45% of my phone calls, but all my phone calls aren't Google Ads. So this isn't an accurate customer acquisition cost, but it gives you a decent ballpark because I probably close 45% of my Google Ads phone calls too. So it's meh. So the price is high. The price is going up. Let's see what my CAC was last year. If we can actually let's do August of last year. Let's see if it's changed. It might still be the same. No, it was the same, guys. My conversion rate was a little bit lower, but that was averaged out for the whole whatever. It fluctuates. So my customer acquisition cost has been staying surprisingly the same, which honestly kind of really surprises me. But anyways, guys, the price is high out here. For the entire 2 years I've been in this business, my customer conversion has been sitting around $50 to $60. Just keep that in mind. You need to be closing these calls if you're spending this kind of money on Google. If I'm spending $52 per conversion times 10 calls, so I'm spending $520 to close less than 10 calls because I'm not closing 50%. I have a call center. I would probably close 50 to 60 to 70%, but I delegate and I'm off the phones now. So realize those 10 phone calls, I'm probably four customers, right? Average job size, if your average job size is 450, theoretically speaking, throughout the course of a month, these should be your numbers. You pay $500 to get 10 phone calls. You close 4 of them. Your average job size for me out here in LA. So if I spend $500 a day, I should bring in $1,800. Now, we all know junk removal is all over the place. It all balances out, though, to be your average job size. You can watch more of my videos about Google Ads, but just realize price is high and you got to spend a lot of money, guys. You can't be scared to spend a lot of money. If you want to grow, you need to grow the balls to spend a lot. And that's where I talk about people like saving up money before jumping into Google Ads because it's more expensive. If you don't do it right, you can be getting really bad phone calls that you didn't want to pay for. Yeah, just be wary of Google Ads, but this is where it's at. This is Google Local Services. Look at what Google Local Services I have maximized leads on, so it's spending as much as possible to outbid everybody to show me number one. Average cost per undisputed lead, $90 per phone call with Google Local Services. Pretty ridiculous, right? It's expensive. Now, we got to talk about systems, guys. If you're going to scale and you're going to grow, you need to implement systems immediately from day one. I'm talking about bookkeeping and accounting so you can track your numbers, so you're a sellable asset, so you know everything going on. I want you to be on top of this shit. You have to have an FSM, Field Service Management Tool, or CRM. You have to have that from day one. I want you to have a customer database so that you can remarket to them later, so that you can get reviews. You must have ads on Autopilot. You need to have a good ads management company, or if you're managing them, you need to make sure your ads just are set, good to go, good copy, good landing page, and then Google does its magic too to make sure it converts. But it's very important that you guys have these systems in place. And honestly, if you're in LA, like I'm on 2 trucks, I could technically be running the phone still and save a little bit of money, but I prefer not to be on phones. But if you're not in LA, you might need 3 or 4 trucks to hit $1 million in gross sales. And phone calls for 3 to 4 trucks, I don't think you want to be on phones. It's time you outsource your phones. I tried. It didn't work for me doing local. It was too expensive. They only did 40 hours. I maybe could have found somebody like in a different state with lower income, like $3,000, $4,000. But you can get an entire team in the Philippines for a fraction of the cost. It's going to be harder to scale. If you're on the truck and like managing and doing this, you need to outsource your phones. And I'm just bringing up systems because this is important. If you want to scale, you can't scale if you're not having systems in place, guys. And then obviously the big one is talent, hiring and training. You want good people, hire slow, fire fast. I have videos on this too, but you need good quality people. You need good camaraderie, good culture. I don't really have much culture in my company because the two trucks are so far away, but if you can bring culture, bring culture. Culture is great, but systems are important, guys. Make sure you start from the beginning and just make it easier. Do your bookkeeping, get your FSM in place, CRM, whatever. Get a good ad management company that you trust. I use ClicksGeek. I love them. And find good talent. Have a training process too. Delegation, guys. This is what holds a lot of business owners back, is they are scared to let somebody else take the reins because they do it better themselves. And I'm not calling Ricardo out, but Ricardo is somebody who doesn't trust anybody. I'm buddies with Ricardo. I see all of his videos. You know, he talks shit on Google Ads. I don't really care, but he talks about he doesn't like employees driving his trucks, or they're going to ruin it. He doesn't even carry general liability insurance, I think he says in one of his Sonoma Strong interviews. He doesn't trust having insurance. He doesn't trust employees. He doesn't want anybody driving his trucks. Yada, 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 yada. Now, that's great. Owner-operator, you do you, right? But we're talking about hitting 1 million in gross sales. 1 million plus. I want to hit 2 million, 3 million. But you got to learn to delegate. Finding talent and trusting people is the only way to scale. You can only grow a business if you let other people take the reins. No one's ever going to care as much as you, ever. Nobody might not close as good as you on the phone because it's your business. You care. But you can find talented people, and you are going to lose a little bit of the margins because other people are taking over. But you being you, you're going to find good talent and let other people take over the truck, let other people take over the phone, and eventually you're going to get a manager if you're going to scale. I don't technically need an ops manager right now, but I'm trying to systematize it, automate it, so that it's a sellable asset, so that I can maybe, get investors or get acquired, or maybe just find investors to help me get more trucks, or hopefully now that I'm hitting 2 years, I can go finance my own dump truck. But guys, delegation is very important if you plan on scaling. So how do we make more money? We already briefly talked about it, guys, but add more trucks. It's that simple. Master one truck, get that truck up to its maximum potential. 30 days a month, working weekends, get a weekend crew. If you want to stay on the truck, master that truck, and then eventually you're going to launch another, and you can start the second truck. You're going to have somebody run that truck full time. You're going to have 4 employees, a week crew, a weekend crew. If it's really busy, 6 employees, so you can do split shifts on the busy days and max it out. Like I said, on average out here, each truck will do 500,000 gross. It depends on your state, your city, your county, your place, wherever. Your maximum potential for a truck might be 300. Figure out what that number is that you think is the potential that truck can make. Get it there. Launch another truck. Buy new trucks. Both of these trucks cost me 17 on this one and 5 to 10 on this one, so that's about 27 grand in repairs, not including the upgrades. I shouldn't have done the upgrades. No, I like the upgrades, but that was another 10,000 in upgrades, toolbox, rack, backup cameras. I spent 40 grand in cash on upgrades, repair. Buy new trucks, guys. You have employees depending on you. Downtime is going to cost your employees their family's food. That's why you want good trucks. If you plan on scaling to 1 million, you need to be reliable. Okay, the first truck, get that one figured out. Figure out the processes and systems. When you're ready to go, you're really going to want to start cranking in new trucks as you scale. So what if you guys don't have any of this? What if you don't have capital, cash, credit, investors? You're going to grow slow. That's all there is to it. You're going to save up money, as much money as you can, and then slowly creep into Google Ads and raise and raise and raise. Most people get scared to start raising the budget. You got to close and make that money. So you need that buffer, because you might not make all that money that week, but you'll make it the next week. When you start raising the Google Ads at $300 a day, you're like, holy fuck, 300, 600, 900, and then Google starts collecting their money, right? I know it's scary. And I remember cranking to $200 a day, and then Google would collect every $500. My threshold is now at $12,000. They collect their money every $12,000. So you're going to grow slower. That's just the fact of the matter. Repair your credit, but that's a long process. Pull out a loan, you got to have good credit, so you can't really pull out a loan if you don't have credit. Raise money from friends and family. That's a whole other topic itself. That's up to you. I'll maybe talk about that in another video. If you guys want that in another video, so comment down below. Raise money from investors. That's a whole other topic itself. Save up the money. I would say you can start cranking the dial with Google Ads with probably 10,000 in the bank safely. And there is a way to do Google Ads safely, a safer way to do Google Ads. I'm going to make a video on that soon to really minimize your risk of bad clicks, bad calls. But I would say save up 20 to 30 grand, and then you can crank the dial on Google Ads, crank it for them that month, and then crank up your Google Ads to $300, $400 a day, and then crank that up and eventually get to your second truck. So that would be your other option. If you don't have all the things above, if you can't do what we talked about above. The other option is add more services. And this is something I'm considering doing if I get declined for another dump truck. I have mastered my 2 trucks. They are good to go. I'm not going to go buy another $30,000, $40,000 used dump truck, even if I can get financed for it at a shitty interest rate. I'm not going to do that again because I'll end up in the shop and cost me 10, 20 grand. I am forever scarred with PTSD of used fucking trucks. I have employees who depend on me. You can always add more services, guys. Trailers are easy to get. You know, I don't know how popular trailer rental is, but they're all over. The trailer rentals and shit. So I was thinking to myself, shit, I have 3 trailers. They're easy to get. They cost me $150 a month to get. So what if I started trailer rentals? Dumpsters, I could probably get approved for a few dumpsters, dumpster rentals. I could start advertising for demolition and start learning how to do interior demolition. I could do that. You could also add moving. Moving is higher AJS, average job size. I don't know what it is out here, but I've heard average job size of like 1,000. Get a little dinky box truck. Start making some extra money, get a new crew, do that. I can get a location and start really going ham on reselling. Get a place to store a bunch of stuff, so I'm reselling, I'm moving, I'm doing demo. You can start adding all these other services, but you have to master one first. Mastery is very important here. So that's another option, guys. And yeah. So what you pitching, Andrew? What am I saying? Honestly, I'm not saying much. I just wanted to shed some light, some truth. But I do want to tell you about my course. I should tell you about my course because my course has it all, guys. Let me just pull up Junk Launch. So I go live every week. But if you look at the classroom, we have our meetings that I record here, hour-long meetings. You'll see that I have all of the resources here. Pricing sheet, check-in, check-out sheet, job interview questions, company recordings of the 27 companies I recorded and got their prices, and the call recordings, and 100 call recordings here of my agents, my phone sales script, gig worker template, job ad posting, my negative keyword list, my Craigslist posting. And that's just all that stuff. And then we have, of course, my course, which goes over registering your business, right? All this stuff, business credit, legal stuff, workers' comp, all this stuff, branding and presence, building an entire website. We go over employees. We go over sysops. We go over tools and equipment. We go over the trucks. We go over the pricing and break it down. We go over tons of marketing. Every marketing avenue that you guys have heard of, I talk about. And of course, guys, my Google Ads course, which is 5 hours long. And there's more to come. And then, of course, we talk about SEO. We talk about building your own call center when you get there so you don't have to pay somebody else. I teach you how to scale from 250 to a million, which we kind of briefly covered in here, but I go into detail here. Employee training videos, so you can just send these to employees and they're ready to go. And then Facebook ads, which is coming in about a month or two once I've mastered Facebook ads. So, guys, there is a lot. This is fucking insane. There's over 100 videos, guys. So the course is only $500 right now. It's going up in about 2 or 3 weeks to $997 because there's just so much value, guys. And I want to make sure it's an investment for you guys. It's not too crazy an investment, but it's enough money to where you're like, oh shit, I should probably follow the advice that Andrew's giving because there is a lot of content in there. If I price it too cheap, you won't take it serious. It'll just sit on the shelf. 500 is what it is right now. So if it's 500, I suggest you get it. And I'm in there all the time, guys. I also have a Discord channel where you can talk to me there too. But I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I hope it opened up your eyes a little bit. And as always, guys, I leave you with this. Success is often covered in dirt, but so is gold at one point. Toodles!
Just another song.